so this is a pretty straightforward problem. A ball thrown straight up in the air with initial velocity 16.5 meters per second. How high does it go when it reaches its peak? How long did it take? And how fast is it going 3.00 seconds later? Okay, so let's just draw this out. So its initial velocity, 16.5 meters per second. It's going up. Keeps going up until it gets to the peak. All right. Things we know. The initial velocity is a positive 16.5 meters per second. At the peak, the final velocity is 0. The acceleration that we're dealing with is equal to gravity, which is equal to negative 9.8 meters per second squared. Okay, and we want to, for part A, or number 1, we want to figure out how high does it go when it reaches the peak. So we can use this equation right here. All right. We know that this is 0 at the peak. So we want to solve for the displacement. In this case, it's a vertical displacement, so you could say h. So when we do some algebra here, we subtract the v initial from both sides. We get 2gh because the acceleration is gravity. Because gravity is negative, these cancel out. Okay, so the final equation that we end up with, so the height to the peak is the initial velocity squared divided by 2 times gravity. When we put those numbers in, we will get 16.5 squared divided by 2 times gravity. The answer should be 13.9 meters. Okay, number 2 wants to know how long did it take to get there. Well, v final equals v initial plus at. We know that that's 0. This a is going to be gravity, which is negative. So when we do all this out, we're going to end up with t is equal to v initial divided by gravity. So this is the time to the peak. So when we do this, 16.5 divided by 9.8, we get 1.68 seconds. Okay. All right, number 3. Wants to know what is its velocity 3 seconds later. Well, that's this same equation, except in this case, we're going to put, we're solving for v final at that time. So v final equals the v initial, which is 16.5 meters per second, plus negative 9.8 meters per second squared times 3.00 seconds. When we do this out, it's going to be 16 minus whatever 9.8 times 3 is. And we get 3 times negative 9.8 comes out to negative 12.9 meters per second. And this makes sense because 3 seconds is after 1.68, so it means it has passed the peak and it's on its way back down, okay? So when it's on its way down, it's going to have a negative velocity. All right, so there's a step-by-step solution to this type of problem.